Sherlock Holmes. A name that resonates through the annals of detective fiction. The name alone evokes mystery and intrigue, conjuring images of foggy London streets and shadowy figures lurking in the night. He is the world's most famous detective, a master of observation and deduction, whose methods have become legendary. But Sherlock Holmes is more than just a fictional character. He is an icon, a symbol of the power of the human mind. He revolutionized the way we think about crime and investigation, setting a new standard for detectives everywhere. He showed us the power of logic, the importance of detail, and the thrill of the chase. His adventures were not just stories, they were lessons in critical thinking. Before Sherlock Holmes, crime fiction was a different beast. It lacked the sophistication and depth that Holmes brought to the genre. Detectives were often dull and uninspired, relying more on chance than on skill. They relied on intuition or luck, not logic. Their methods were haphazard and often ineffective. Then came Holmes, a brilliant eccentric with a scientific mind. He approached crime solving with the precision of a surgeon and the curiosity of a scientist. He approached crime as a puzzle, carefully analyzing clues and using his intellect to catch the culprit. Holmes's methods were revolutionary, changing the way detectives worked. He observed everything, no matter how small or insignificant it seemed. Every detail was a potential clue in the grand tapestry of the case. He used his vast knowledge of science, history, and literature to make deductions that astonished even the most experienced police officers. His mind was a library of information, always ready to be accessed. He was a master of disguise, a skilled fighter, and a charismatic figure who captivated everyone he met. His ability to blend into any situation was unparalleled. Sherlock Holmes changed the face of detective fiction. His stories set a new benchmark for the genre, inspiring countless writers and readers. He inspired generations of writers and continues to fascinate readers today. His influence can be seen in modern detective stories, where his methods and style are often emulated, but his impact goes far beyond the printed page. Holmes's techniques have influenced real-life criminal investigations and the development of forensic science. He influenced real-life criminal investigations, forensic science, and popular culture. His legacy is evident in the way modern detectives approach their work, with a focus on evidence and logical deduction. Join me as we delve into the world of Sherlock Holmes, the detective who revolutionized criminology. His story is not just one of fiction, but of lasting impact on the real world. Every great character has a creator, and Sherlock Holmes was no exception. This legendary detective, with his sharp mind and keen eye for detail, has captivated readers for generations. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, a Scottish physician and writer, brought this iconic detective to life in 1887. Doyle's journey to creating Holmes was as fascinating as the stories themselves. Doyle's inspiration for Holmes came from a variety of sources. His background in medicine played a crucial role in shaping the character. He drew upon his own experiences as a medical student, observing the diagnostic methods of his professors. These early experiences honed his understanding of observation and deduction. One professor, Dr. Joseph Bell, was particularly influential, known for his keen powers of observation and deduction. Bell's ability to deduce a patient's occupation and history from minute details left a lasting impression on Doyle. Doyle also found inspiration in the works of Edgar Allan Poe, particularly the detective C. Auguste Dupin. Poe's stories laid the groundwork for the detective genre, and Doyle sought to build upon this foundation. However, Doyle wanted to create a detective who was even more analytical, more scientific in his approach. He envisioned a character who could solve the most perplexing mysteries with logic and reason. And so Sherlock Holmes was born, a blend of observation, deduction, and scientific knowledge applied to the art of crime solving. Holmes's methods were revolutionary, setting a new standard for fictional detectives. Holmes was more than just a brilliant mind, he was a complex and intriguing character. His intellect was matched by his unique personality traits. He was arrogant and eccentric, with a penchant for solitude and a disdain for social norms. His quirks made him both fascinating and relatable to readers. Yet he possessed a strong sense of justice and a deep compassion for the victims of crime. Holmes's empathy and determination to right wrongs endeared him to many. Doyle knew that even a genius detective needed a companion, someone to ground him and provide a counterpoint to his eccentricities. This companion would also serve as the narrator of Holmes's adventures. Enter Dr. John Watson, a former Army doctor and Holmes's loyal friend and biographer. Watson's perspective added depth to the stories, making them more accessible to readers. Watson, through his stories, introduced the world to the brilliance of Sherlock Holmes. His narratives captured the essence of Holmes's genius and the thrill of their adventures, ensuring that the legacy of Sherlock Holmes would endure for generations to come. Elementary, my dear Watson, a phrase synonymous with Sherlock Holmes, though never uttered in those exact words in the original stories. This phrase, however, has come to represent the very essence of Holmes's approach to solving the most perplexing mysteries. Nevertheless, it perfectly encapsulates Holmes's approach to solving mysteries. His methods were a blend of keen observation, logical deduction, and an encyclopedic knowledge of various subjects. At the heart of his method lay the power of observation and deduction. Holmes's ability to notice what others overlooked was unparalleled. Holmes believed that the smallest details could reveal the most crucial information. A single overlooked clue could be the key to solving an entire case. A scuff mark on a shoe which might seem insignificant to the untrained eye, a speck of dust on a coat which could indicate a recent visit to a specific location, or a peculiar scent in the air. These were not insignificant trifles to Holmes but vital clues to unraveling a case. Each detail, no matter how small, was a piece of the larger puzzle. He honed his senses to a razor-sharp edge. His eyes, ears, and nose were finely tuned instruments, capable of detecting the faintest of clues. He could identify different types of tobacco by their ash, a skill that often provided critical insights into the habits and whereabouts of suspects. Tell you the history of a pocket watch with a single glance, discerning its origin, age, and even the personality of its owner. And deduce a person's occupation and recent activities just by observing their clothing and demeanor. The way a person dressed, walked, and even spoke could reveal volumes about their life. But observation was only the first step. Holmes's brilliance lay in his ability to synthesize this information into a coherent narrative. Holmes possessed an encyclopedic knowledge of various subjects, chemistry, which allowed him to analyze substances and understand their properties, anatomy, which helped him understand injuries and physical evidence, law, which provided him with the framework of criminal behavior, history, which gave context to his cases, and geography, which helped him track movements and understand locations. And he used this knowledge to connect the dots and draw stunning conclusions. His mind was a vast repository of facts, all of which he could call upon at a moment's notice. This process, which he termed deduction, was his secret weapon. Deduction allowed him to see the connections between seemingly unrelated pieces of evidence. It allowed him to piece together seemingly unrelated facts and arrive at the truth, often to the astonishment of his clients in Scotland Yard. His conclusions were often so precise and unexpected that they seemed almost magical. Holmes's methods were not just about solving crimes, they were about understanding the human condition. He delved into the psychology of his subjects, understanding their fears, desires, and motivations. He studied people, their motivations, their habits, and their weaknesses. This deep understanding of human nature was what truly set him apart from other detectives. This understanding of human nature, combined with his analytical skills, made him the ultimate detective. Holmes's legacy endures not just because of his cases, but because of his profound insight into the human soul. Section 4. The Science of Deduction, Holmesian Techniques in Action. One of the most celebrated examples of Holmes's deductive prowess is in A Scandal in Bohemia. Irene Adler, a cunning adventuress, manages to outsmart Holmes. However, Holmes, impressed by her intellect, learns a valuable lesson from her. This story highlights Holmes's ability to adapt and learn from his experiences, acknowledging that even he could be outsmarted. In The Hound of the Baskervilles, Holmes faces a seemingly supernatural enemy, a monstrous hound said to haunt the Baskerville family. Through careful observation and deduction, he unravels the mystery, exposing the culprit and the scientific explanations behind the seemingly supernatural events. This case demonstrates Holmes's commitment to logic and reason, even when faced with seemingly impossible situations. These stories, along with countless others, showcase the power of Holmes's methods. He inspired a generation of readers to look closer, to think critically, and to never underestimate the importance of the smallest detail. Section 5. Beyond Baker Street Real-Life Crimes Inspired by Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes's influence extended far beyond the realm of fiction. His innovative methods of observation, deduction, and forensic analysis had a profound impact on the development of real-life criminal investigation. Police detectives and forensic scientists began to adopt Holmesian techniques, ushering in a new era of scientific crime solving. One notable example is the case of Dr. Hawley Crippen, who was accused of murdering his wife in 1910. The case involved early forensic techniques, including fingerprinting and analysis of human remains, which were inspired by Holmes's emphasis on scientific evidence. The use of these methods helped secure Crippen's conviction, demonstrating the real-world applicability of Holmesian techniques. The popularity of Sherlock Holmes stories also led to a surge in public interest in forensic science. This, in turn, spurred advancements in areas like fingerprinting, toxicology, and ballistics. Holmes's fictional world, with its emphasis on logic and scientific inquiry, had a tangible impact on the development of real-world crime-solving tools and techniques.